So first I would stand up and greet your parents, shake their hands, chest, and thank you for coming in to speak with me today. So I guess we're here to just discuss your child's test last year and see what that means. And I can answer any questions that you have about it. So question number one would be, my child's performance level is based on his or her scale score. What is a scale score? Is this my child's actual score on the test? I would say that, okay, his scale score is not the actual score that he got on the test. What they do is take his raw score, which is the combination of the multiple choice and the short answer score. Your child got a 33 in combination, so it was 22 from multiple choice, 11 for the short answer. So combined to be 33. That was his raw score. And they put it into basically some kind of formula, and we don't know exactly what it is. It changes slightly every year, but basically that's how they get the scale score. The question number two, according to the most recent scale score, my child's performance is a 2. What does this performance level mean? This means that he meets the basic standards. So he has a partial understanding of the material. Now, you can see that, he had 665, which is only 5 points away from what he needed to get a 3. So I wouldn't be too worried about it. I mean, he might need to just work a little harder in certain areas, but it's definitely not the end of the world. Question number 3. I see that this test measures my child's ability in several areas called strands. Can you explain those strands? Can you give me an example of questions my child answered for each of these content strands? Okay, sure. So there was 5 content strands. The first strand was number sense and operations. It was basically understanding numbers, how they're represented, and the different operations and how they relate to each other. This question, the questions in this area was probably more complex, requiring that they use more than one operation to solve the problem. That's probably why he scored so low in this area, because he got, 25. He might have understood that each individual area or concept, but combining them might have been an issue for him. For example, they might have asked a question involving both, absolute value and solving an equation. I'm sure he knows, what each one is, but when you put them together, it was just difficult for him to understand how they related to each other. So that was the first concept. That was the first strand. Strand 2 was algebra. It was basically problem solving, equations, when to use them, how to solve them properly. Just basic, solve for X, stuff like that, which, he did pretty well on, actually. The next strand was geometry, so it was more visual, triangles, circles, symmetry, stuff like that. So, he did pretty okay on this. Not excellent, not terribly low. He did fine. The next concept was measurements. Just converting measurements, recognizing when to use which formulas and such. Scored pretty low on this one. He got a 40. So I guess he just needs help with that. Probably just understanding when to use, when to use them, and just like that. It's a lot of like relating. It's also, I guess it probably relates to the first concept, which is the first strand. It involved multiple things. This one kind of does too. So that was probably why it was also difficult for him. And the next strand was statistics and probability. They basically, analyzing the data that they give you, and stuff like that. He did excellent actually. He got 93 on it. So really well. So the report mentioned, the fourth question, the report mentioned that SPI, is this the same thing as my child's scale score? Okay. Yeah. So, SPI is not the same as the child's scale score. So basically, if there would have been like 100 questions on the test, SPI number, say, got 93. That's what they predict he would have gotten right. So 93 out of 100. But it's not the same as the raw score. What is the SPI target range, and how does it relate to my child's SPI? The target range is basically the error range for each strand. So your child can be up to 15, up to however much less or more than what their score shows. For example, the child's score was, your child's score was in the strand 3, geometry was 63. The SPI was ranges, between these two was 10, basically. So his actual score could be up to either 73 or it could be as low as 53. For strand 4 measurements, got a 40. The SPI would range 13. So it could be up to 53 or 27. It's just the error range between. Question 7, I have my child's report from last year. When I look at the 2 most recent reports, I see that my child's performance in some strands has changed dramatically. Are these real changes? Wow. Okay. Looking at your child's score from last year, for each area, you also have to take into account the SPI range, target range. So, for example, the SPI for this strand 1